From Gaza to French Catalonia to Venezuela to what's happening down in Taiwan, we are seeing that war is just about to break out anywhere we look. We see troops moving. We see a lot of soldiers from the United States deploying. We see U.S. aircraft carriers moving around. We have a lot to be concerned about out there. World War III seems to be breaking out at any moment now. We have a lot to talk about, but one of the things that we need to see more than anything is that nobody really seems to be working towards peace anymore. Peace is not the plan. War is the plan, and all sides are trying to get the upper hand as we go into World War III. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade. I've traveled a little bit around the world, been to 51 countries now. Been to Taiwan recently to survey and supervise and just check things out of what's going on over there. Very, very concerning. I'm going to put together a detailed report for you guys, potentially in book form as well as in a series of videos. But this is just, we're seeing so much happen around the world. Let's start in Gaza. Now, we've been told that the United States will not be party to the war in Gaza, and yet we have 2 U.S. warships and hundreds of U.S. military troops now lying under the missiles of Hamas, right? Hamas has short-range and medium-range missiles that they've been firing at Israel, and now the United States military has put our ships right in harm's way. They've finished constructing the pier, the humanitarian aid pier. It's basically a floating dock off the shore so that big ships can pull up. They can offload truckloads of supplies that can then be transferred onto short-range, smaller vessels that can take that over to the shore. This has been a major cost to the United States, almost $500 million of construction costs, and we've put U.S. Troops in harm's way now. What's to stop Hamas from lobbing a bunch of missiles at this pier? At the U.S. warships that are guarding it? Yeah, we can try to shoot down those missiles, but the fact is that we've already had Hamas attack the trucks and such on the beach near the aid pier, and they have good motivation to attack the pier itself, which may or may not have U.S. personnel on board at any given time. So, why are we doing this? The UN itself has said that pier is a bad idea. You should just move things across land. It's much cheaper, much more efficient. $500 million would buy a lot of rice, a lot of grain that could have been moved across by truckload from Egypt or through Israel. And yet, we see increasingly the United States is unwilling to do that. We'd rather do a big grand gesture, not a practical thing for the people that are starving, literally, in Gaza right now. Now, while we have a bunch of pro-Hamas nutsos out there on the streets in New York City and other cities across the United States and across campuses, and they are basically chanting for the destruction of Israel, which I don't support that in any way, shape, or form. But we're also going to say that it's not an untrue statement that the people under Hamas's thumb are suffering greatly. They have backed Hamas and they have supported Hamas, and they are suffering because of it. And the suffering is very great. Moving on to another flashpoint that we have out there in the world, French Catalonia it's an island off the coast of Australia, out in the Pacific Ocean. It is a French colony. And French Catalonia, they now have troops that have been deployed. They have declared martial law in this island. About 270,000 residents of the island. They have gotten very, very upset because France decided to change the constitution, changing who can vote. If that sounds at all familiar, basically they're trying to water down the citizens' votes and the people are not having it. And so they've taken to the streets to march and protest, and the French have responded by deploying soldiers to the streets. They have said that it's going to be police officers only, and that the soldiers are deploying to support roles. However, there are many reports out there that that is not the case, that French soldiers are been deployed to airports, to ports, that they have been deployed to police stations, that there are French soldiers taken to the streets to in partnership with the French police. And so the people on the streets are facing down the French military, much like Algeria back in the day, if you know your history, or if you even just watched a bunch of old movies. But the thing is that this is super serious. That the people, the colony that belongs to France, is basically revolting against the French rule, and the French are deploying their military in order to crush this uprising. Serious things happening there, and of course you won't hear about that in the news media out there at all, because this is France, which is a vassal state to the United States. Therefore, whatever they do, we'll all hide our eyes and pretend like they're not doing anything, to protect democracy. It's amazing how the good guys, as they say it, behave so much like the people we're told who are bad guys. Now, saying that, I don't believe there is a good or bad side, and that's the point of what I'm saying. That is that the good guys behave like the bad guys. And the good guys and the bad guys is really just a matter of perspective in most cases. Now, are there some places that are just truly evil? Yeah, there are. I mean, things that the Chinese government that do, the organ harvesting, the political persecution in places like Tibet and some of these other provinces is truly horrific. What they do to church pastors and church leaders, the persecution of Falun Gong and others, absolutely atrocious. Is that in any way commensurate to what's happening inside the United States? No, there really is no parallel. Is the evil inside Russia horrific? Yeah, absolutely. The political persecution, is that in any way, shape, or form parallel to the United States? I would say that there are more parallels that can be drawn there. And that may be unpopular, but when you start comparing the Russian corruption at the highest levels and the disappearance of people who disagree with the oligarchs over there, we actually see very similar things happening here in the United States. People getting mysteriously offed inside their cells inside the United States, disappeared. Anyone who criticizes or who's going to testify against certain people disappear into the night. Political operatives getting gunned down in the street. Yeah, that happens here. And that's very similar to what happens over there as well. Moving on. Not only do we have the French out there doing all sorts of things that we would accuse our worst enemies of, Venezuela, which is kind of in the Russian sphere of things, I guess. They are massing troops on the eastern border of their country against Guyana. Now, they've recently come out and said that they want to reach peaceful terms with Guyana, but basically they want to take 2/3 of Guyana and make it part of Venezuela. Guyana has recently explored and discovered a lot of oil. Oil companies are helping them pump it out of the ground. Guyana is already the country that produces the most oil per capita. So per person in Guyana, they produce more oil than any country in the world right now. They're pumping that out of the ground. They're pumping it out of the ocean, and it is very, very lucrative. But Guyana has a military of 5,000 soldiers. And Venezuela is saying, hey, we got more soldiers than they do. And so Venezuela is massing their troops. They have been building up their roads, their they don't have bridges over some of these rivers because it's out in the boonies. I mean, it is the middle of the jungle. They've been building roads. They have, instead of been building bridges, they've been building heavy ferries that can move heavy equipment, tanks, armored vehicles, heavy trucks across very efficiently and very quickly across these big rivers. There's a lot of satellite photos out there showing the expansion of air bases to take more soldiers, troops, so that they can also have more aircraft on the ground. They can land more aircraft and everything. This is moving forward. As I've said so many times before, you shouldn't be looking at the troops. You should be looking at the logistics. And Venezuela is moving forward with preparing the logistics, not only in the jungle, but also along the coastline. Their nearest naval base has been massively expanded to hold more Navy warships, more missile boats, so that they can then move those into the area where there's a lot of oil rigs and such, so that they can seize the area. They're looking at moving into Guyana. It's very clear that that is what they are preparing to do. It is so very clear that the USS George Washington has suddenly appeared off the coast as a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier that has appeared with its battle group, has appeared off the coast of Guyana because Guyana is freaking out. They are worried that they're going to be invaded. F-18s have been flying sorties over Guyana in the last couple of days to be threatening to the Venezuelan government to say, don't try crossing the border or else bad things will happen. But will the United States start dropping bombs on Venezuelan troops that try to move into Guyana? I don't know that the United States will go that far. They may, in the end, say, Guyana, hey, you're on your own. We're here to support you, but we're not going to get into a shooting war with Venezuela over this. And so Guyana is getting support, quote unquote, but how much support are they really going to get? The logistics seem to be nearing completion for the invasion of Guyana. Would you guys like to see a dedicated video where I can walk through all the different satellite images of the preparations and the expansion of the military bases out there in the jungle to give you kind of an idea of what's going on with that? If you'd like to see that, just let me know down in the comments down below. But let's move on to Taiwan. Taiwan has had more aircraft incursions. It's at record levels. They've never been more mainland Chinese aircraft moving into the across the median line. We don't want to say the air identification zone in general, because the air identification zone for Taiwan actually extends over the Chinese mainland's coastline, so that kind of doesn't make sense. But the median line between them is about halfway between Taiwan and mainland China. So that line is supposed to be respected, that military aircraft are supposed to stay on the other side of the median line, and that has been regularly broken by the Chinese Communist Party recently. But in the north and south air identification zones, we're also seeing a lot of Chinese aircraft moving into those zones. Those areas should be respected. They are not. They do not actually overlap over China. We're seeing record levels of that. We're seeing a lot of Chinese Navy ships are moving into the zones, the defense zones of Taiwan as well. And they seem to be trying to normalize these kind of actions. Now, whether China is still trying to pursue a peaceful reunification of Taiwan or not, I believe that they are really setting things up for a surprise attack against Taiwan, where things will happen very, very quickly. So that's what I saw over in Taiwan myself. They have ample opportunities to seize Taiwanese ports before anyone knows what's going on, and that is something that that the Taiwanese clearly are not prepared for. Secret incursions via submersible, ships. So they could bring semi-submersible ships up on shore in Taiwan without Taiwan being aware of what's going on there either. There's a lot of opportunities for a sneak attack against Taiwan, and that would very much play into China's hand. So that's why I think it's probably going to happen in the near future, whether it happens this summer or whether it happens this fall. It will most likely happen this year before we get a new president here in the United States. All right, friends, we'll keep you updated on all of these things, but what we're seeing is that everyone seems to be moving towards war. Their logistics are being built up to fight these wars, and that is showing the intent of these leaders. All right, friends, thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.